Madison had always prided herself on being a hard worker, a resilient mother, and a woman who could handle anything life threw her way. But lately, the weight of her circumstances was beginning to wear her down. Every morning, she laced up her worn-out sneakers and prepared for the 3-hour round-trip walk to her job at a local steakhouse in West Virginia. The buses didn't reach her neighborhood, so she had no choice but to rely on her own 2 feet to get her where she needed to be. But hey, before we dive into the story, do yourself a favor and pause the video right now. Go hit that like button, and let's see if we can make this video reach 1,000 likes. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to your favorite story channel. Also make sure to ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest and weirdest stories. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming your way. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed as we take you on an unforgettable ride. Don't forget to engage with us in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Without further ado, let's dive right in. It wasn't just the physical strain that got to her. It was the constant worry about her 2 kids, Luke and Ethan, and the gnawing thought that she was missing out on valuable time with them. But Madison knew she had no other choice. The job at the steakhouse paid well, and she needed every penny to provide for her family. Her co-workers at the steakhouse admired her dedication, especially Alex, who often saw her arrive at work drenched in sweat, her knees aching from the long walk. "I still can't believe you walk so much every day. At least you're gonna be in total shape," Alex joked during one of their breaks outside the restaurant. Madison smiled weakly, appreciating the attempt at humor, but the pain in her knee was becoming more difficult to ignore. "Yeah, but I need a car," she replied, rubbing her knee absent-mindedly. "I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. I'm saving up, but when you're a single mom, every extra expense seems to come out of nowhere. The kids always have to come first, you know?" Alex nodded sympathetically. "That's true," he said. He knew how hard Madison worked, and he admired her determination to keep pushing forward, no matter the obstacles. As the lunch rush approached, they headed back inside to their stations. Madison worked the grill, one of the most critical spots in the steakhouse. She handled the morning and lunch shifts, leaving the dinner shift to someone else so she could make it home in time to be with her kids. It was a tough schedule, but she was thankful for her neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, who watched Luke and Ethan after school until she got home. Every morning, Madison woke up before the sun, urging her kids to get dressed quickly so they could walk together to the spot where the school bus picked them up. It wasn't a regular bus stop, but the district had arranged it for the children in their neighborhood since there were no other transportation options. Madison usually dropped them off and then continued her long trek to work. But one morning, something unexpected happened. As they stepped out of the house, her kids suddenly shouted, "Oh my God, Mom, look!" Their excitement startled her, especially since it was too early for such loud exclamations. "What is it?" she asked, still half asleep. "Mom, did you buy a car?" Luke asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. "No, honey. One of the neighbors must have parked here by mistake," Madison replied, rubbing her eyes. But as she looked closer, she noticed a set of keys sitting on the windowsill, accompanied by a small note. Curious, Madison grabbed the keys and the note. Her hands trembled as she read the message. "For Madison, so you never have to walk so much again." Madison stood frozen in shock, trying to comprehend what she was seeing. Luke snatched the note from her hand and read it aloud. "It's your car, Mom. We have a car," he shouted, jumping up and down with his little brother Ethan. "Is this real?" Madison whispered to herself, barely able to believe what was happening. The kids had already rushed to the car, peeking through the windows and begging her to start the engine. She pressed the key fob, and the car lights blinked, confirming that it was indeed hers. As she opened the door and slid into the driver's seat, a wave of emotions washed over her. She turned the ignition and the engine purred to life. The kids cheered from the back seat, and Madison couldn't help but laugh through her tears. That morning, she drove her kids to school, watching their smiles in the rearview mirror. It was a moment she would never forget, a small slice of normalcy that had been missing from their lives for so long. After dropping them off, she headed to work, still in a daze from the morning's events. When she arrived at the steakhouse, she parked the car in the employee lot, her hands still trembling as she clutched the keys. As she walked into the restaurant, she was greeted by a round of applause. The entire staff, even those who weren't scheduled to work, had gathered to welcome her. Madison's eyes filled with tears as she realized what had happened. Her co-workers, the people she had grown close to over the past year, were the ones who had given her this incredible gift. "You guys, you did this?" she asked, her voice thick with emotion. Alex stepped forward, grinning from ear to ear. "We knew how hard you were working and how much you needed a car, so a few of us entered a barbecue contest last weekend and used the prize money to buy it for you." Madison was speechless. She hugged each of them, her gratitude overflowing. "But why? You could have used that money for something else. You don't even know me that well," she said, still in disbelief. Alex shrugged. "Sometimes doing something good for someone in need is better than spending money on yourself," he replied. "We've seen how hard you work, and we wanted to help. You deserve it." The rest of the staff chimed in, praising Madison for her dedication to her job and her children. They admired her strength and determination, and they wanted to make her life a little easier. That day became one of the best days of Madison's life, right up there with the births of her children. The car represented more than just a mode of transportation. It was a symbol of the kindness and generosity of her co-workers, people who had become like family to her. It was a reminder that even in the toughest times, there were always people willing to lend a helping hand. Madison knew she could never fully repay them for their kindness, but she vowed to try. She continued to work hard, grateful every day for the gift that had changed her life. And as she drove to work each morning, no longer burdened by the long walk, she felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. She was no longer just surviving, she was thriving, and it was all thanks to the incredible people who had shown her that she wasn't alone. In the days and weeks that followed, Madison's life began to change in more ways than she could have imagined. With the extra time saved from not having to walk, she was able to spend more time with Luke and Ethan. She could help them with their homework, cook dinner together, and even tuck them into bed without feeling utterly exhausted. The car also opened up new opportunities for her. She could now pick up extra shifts at work, allowing her to save more money for her family's future. And for the first time in a long while, she felt like she had control over her life, rather than constantly playing catch-up. Madison's story became a source of inspiration to others in her community. Her co-workers' selfless act of kindness sparked a ripple effect, encouraging others to look out for those in need and to help whenever they could. The steakhouse became more than just a place to eat. It became a symbol of the power of community and the difference that a little compassion can make in someone's life. And as for Madison, she never forgot the lesson she learned from that incredible day. She continued to work hard, to care for her children, and to give back to those around her whenever she had the chance. Because she knew that kindness had the power to change lives, just as it had changed hers.